Hello everyone, how are you today? It is I, Baby Crone, and I just wanted to come back again today to talk about more science things. So today we're going to talk about trees because, you know, I love nature and trees are just amazing and we're surrounded by trees. And what's great about trees, there's just so many great things about trees, I just don't know what else to say about them. So let's start about the tree history a little bit. We have the Celtic Tree Month, which, as you know, every month has just like the zodiac signs, except in the Celtic religion, instead of 12 zodiacs or 12 months, there's 3 months, and those months are run the same. Okay, this is going to tie me back later into the moon, which is what I'm excited about because, you know, space. I got to talk about space. So why is there 13 months rather than 12 months? Well, really, every month should be like February, which is 28 days, because that's how long a lunar month is. And February represents a true lunar month, which is 28 days. So that means the moon goes through 8 phases in 28 days. So that means if the months were counted out correctly, where there was 28 months, 28 days in each month, there would be 13 months and not 12 days. Now that explains why we have these leap years every 4 years, to account for the times not lining up. And honestly, I don't know who messed with the calendar, but the more I study this ancient long history, I'm just like, whoever changed it, I think it was like the Roman Catholics, but honestly, it's just annoying. They make it so complicated. I think they did it just so they can make it harder for us to understand the universe and where we come from, and really only those that take the time to study and truly understand will be able to understand the mystic messages that they want to share with us, that they're trying to keep from us. But, you know, knowledge is always there. It's always open. You can find truth. You just have to go seek the truth. So why the Celtic months are important: each tree, as I was talking about, we're surrounded by trees. So there are 13 trees that represent ancient old wisdom and have significant meanings and purposes during each season, that the month that they represent. So what I want to talk about today specifically is what's going on in the news. Let's talk about what's going on in California. There's forest fires. Now, you know Cali is known for their forest fires and their severe droughts. I'm so sorry for you, California. I wish we could get you some water. You guys really need some water, like badly, because where is it? The Yosemite National Park, there's a section called Mariposa Grove where there are sequoia trees. Now, sequoia trees are one of the oldest trees. Now, they're not the first. I'll talk about that later when I talk about the Celtic trees. But the sequoias are really tall. Like, they're so massive. They can get up to 279 feet. Now, you want to know how tall that is? Think about this. In the water, deep down in the water, when you deep dive, the farthest you can go is 20 feet before you can't have oxygen anymore, and you will basically be suffocated by the pressure of the water. Now think about this, 20 feet up in the air, as above so below, right? Now 279 feet in the air is way longer and way taller and way higher in the air than 20 feet. So therefore, you could be suffocating, having breathing problems. Think about these high altitude mountains. It's like basically climbing a mountain. So the sequoia trees are not burning. As I said, there are wildfires there. However, the soil and the plants that are within this national park are burning. And why is this important? What do trees get their nutrients from? They get them from the soil, the ground, all the microorganisms that are living that we can't see, like, well, you can see worms. Worms are one of them, but other microscopic organisms that you can only see underneath a microscope, live underneath these soil grounds, helping trees give nutrients. Now, if they're burning alive, think about this, you're burning alive. You're not alive anymore. You're basically burnt to a crisp or even an ash. So think about all the nutrients that the trees are trying to suck up out of the dead ashes of the soil from these forest fires. This is why I had to bring this up today, because trees are very important. And as I talked about last week, they're planting all these male trees and we're surrounded by pollen, and pollen is giving people so much more allergies. Yet if we planted trees with fruits, aka female trees, we wouldn't have to be worrying about trees burning.
That's deep. That's deep.
So
That's deep. Real deep.
what connects, so why does this bring us to the Celtic religion and why they talk about trees and why they symbolize and hold such significance for trees? Well, trees are important because they show wisdom. As their branches branch out into the air and have all this knowledge and wisdom from the sky, they're able to suck it in and bring it up and bring it to the ground, the earth, physical manifestation, and share that knowledge. So it's like the as above, so below. They have that spiritual divine. They're able to connect from the spiritual and the physical and make it one, like a path, like a circuit almost, if you think about it, because a circuit has to have a certain path for it to connect and flow. So just as humans, as I said last week, humans and trees symbolize each other because plants have feet. Their feet are the roots. Their feet are the roots. Just like we have feet and legs. Trees have branches. Just like they have branches, we have arms, and our arms are branches. So therefore, and water flows up and downwards in our body, just like our body. Trees have water flow up and down their barks and their trunks, just like we have blood flowing through our body going up and down, and it doesn't defy gravity. I know that sounds weird because gravity's pulling down, so how do things travel upwards? Well, it's really complicated. It's broken down into physics. I can explain it a little bit more once I get into my deeper level of physics. I just know it has something to do with physics. Yes, I have a question from the audience.
For me, could it be possible because because heat rises and because the heat goes out through your head, could it be that the heat somehow gets like a magnet and pulls the blood up, because isn't plasma in the blood? So could it be that's why the blood is able to do that?
It could be.
I don't know. Just sounds good to me. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. That was good. Go ahead.
So to tie into what I want to talk about is the Celtic Tree Months and why this is so important, because this fire started burning July 7th. Now, what tree month? That we're in a new tree month. It doesn't follow each month like the zodiacs. It doesn't even fit the zodiacs. So like all these different months and trees and zodiacs and seasons, they don't have the same exact times, months, and dates. It doesn't easily translate over, but they still have the same type of message and communication that they're trying to give us of life lessons on how to maneuver through life and understand our life purposes and why we're here. So, July 7th, okay. The oak tree month is between June 10th and July 7th. And I said the fire started burning in the Yosemite Forest, in the Yosemite National Park in California on July 7th, and that's the last day of the oak month. And what does the oak tree represent? It represents one of the original, well, all trees are native to Earth, but one of the ancient native trees that was original, and there's 13 of them, so this must be one of the 13 or maybe one of the ones. And it represents trying to understand your fate. Not a great aspect about human living. We want to know our fate, why we're here, trying to not predict the future, but understand our outcomes. And maybe if we knew that a certain decision we would make would lead us down a certain path that we don't want to go, we would choose not to take that path. However, what's so great about life is that each decision you make is taking you closer and closer towards the path you're supposed to be taking in life. And that's what the oak tree represents. Understanding that you can't know your fate and you're supposed to go through life understanding and enjoying life and basically living out your life, because you can't predict the future, so you can only live every moment by each moment. So now moving on to today, which we're in July. I'll say it, on this day, as of this recording, is July 13th, and we are currently in the middle of the holly month tree, the holly tree month, and holly started July 8th, and it runs until August 4th. Now you remembered I was talking about the Lion's Gate, and the Lion's Gate is August 8th, so that's not in this tree month, that's the next month, which I don't have written down here, but I will put it up later if you guys want to do a little more research to understand more about trees. So what does the holly tree month represent? It understands that your channeled energy can be uprooted and you can use it to create action. Now, why is action so important? Because as like fire, passion, and driven energy, everything requires action. Without a movement, without an action, there would be no life. So, following from last month, now that we understand we can't predict our future, we have to move on and take action. And instead of waiting for life to steer us, we have to steer ourselves. And that's what life is really all about. Taking initiative and understanding that you have the will and power and desire to live the life you want to live. You just have to manifest it. And you have all the power and energy to manifest it. It's just, how do you manifest it? And are you in an environment that's willing to enhance your skills so that way you're able to manifest it? And if not, you can create a situation. You're not always stuck. You just feel like you're stuck. So, what's also important about these sequoia trees and why they're basically, well, not basically, but why they're under, not even endangerment, but currently under stress. Because sequoia trees are only on the west coast of in Sierra Nevada, California. Now that's a small section on this earth and this planet. So if I forgot to mention the most important thing about sequoia trees is that they cannot burn. Because you probably were wondering, well, if their soil's burning, why aren't the trees burning? The trees are not burning because they have such thick bark. In order to be 279 feet in the air, you have to have a massive trunk. The trunk's probably not even the size of me. It's probably like the size of the width of this camera, if not even bigger. So this is like a massive big tree, which is why they have such big bark, which prevents them from being diseased and rotten out by insects. And what do you know? That sounds a lot like humans. We can die too from insect-looking parasites and bugs, and they can get inside of us and harm us and destroy our body just like trees. Another proof that we are just as a part of this earth as anything else living here. And nothing is different from each other. We're all the same. It's just rearranged differently. So to talk about the moon, so to bring in a little bit more information about why I wanted to talk about new science stuff. Today, I will start on something new today. So today represents, there's a super full moon. And a super moon is when the moon is closest to the earth and it appears really big in the night sky. Or morning sky, depending when it happens. But because it's a full moon, the sun is over here shining on earth and the moon is right here direct opposite from the sun, and that's what makes it full, because without light we wouldn't be able to see the moon. So if the moon is full and bright, that means the sun is shining on the moon in an aspect or way that we can see it.
The reflection of the sun.
Yes, the moon reflects the sun, so we're able.
And the sun only has the moon has the reflection of the sun.
Yes, and just a fun fact that today is about a new moon, a full moon, which is in Cancer. Let me bring in a little bit of astrology so you can understand why the moon is so important. So we're currently in Cancer season, and the sun is in Cancer. And if the sun is directly opposite from the moon, then the moon is directly opposite of Cancer, which would be Capricorn. So currently the moon is in Capricorn, and Capricorn is all about material status and how you want to appear in the world. Like what they in astrology they call it your career house, and career is basically your social status, how you appear in life, how people perceive you, your public image essentially. So the moon, it represents your inner side, your inner emotions, how you feel, what it's like on the inside. And as I said, 28 days, the moon is going through phases, so we're affected by the moon daily. And the moon only stays in a zodiac sign for 2.5 days. So every 2 days you're feeling new emotions, you're feeling new ideas, you're feeling new things maybe that's come up differently. That's why you can feel one way about something one day, and then like a week later you feel completely different, and you're just like, man, I had this whole opinion on something and now it's changed.
That's
because your moon is changing.
Wow.
So there was this video going, I'm not sure if it was going around anybody else's TikTok, but it's just appeared on my TikTok.
What actually happened on the moon? Something crashed to the moon and nobody is speaking about this. This happened March the 4th this year. Look at that. But the moon is out of space. You see what I'm saying? How could you see something so clear and vivid if the moon is out of space?
And it's about this mysterious rocket crashing on the moon. I wanted to debunk this video because I believed it. I was shocked. I was like, why is nobody talking about this? You could literally see something crashing on the moon.
Wasn't that like in March?
Yes, that was in March.
Back in March 22?
Yes, it was on March 4th. And NASA knew this rocket was crashing to the moon. They have, as astronomers on their team, predicted that something was going to hit the moon, but they don't know what this was. They just know it was a part of a rocket. They don't know whose rocket it is. They don't know where this rocket came from. It just hit the moon. Now, if you look at the video, it almost looks like a full moon. And I wanted to debunk it and say that it is not a full moon. It was March 4th was a waxing crescent. And a waxing crescent looks like a slight sliver of the moon, not a full moon. So therefore the video is A, showing the wrong phase of the moon. B, if you read articles, there was a rocket that crashed on March 4th. However, it crashed on the side that's not visible to the moon. The moon only has one face ever showing to the earth. So the side that we can't see had the rocket crash. So therefore this video is showing you a crash on the side that we can see, so therefore it's not even factually correct. So therefore this video is all wrong. There's nothing correct about it other than there was something crashing. So somebody wanted to make a deep fake video and show us video footage of evidence of something crashing.
It looked real.
It looked very real. I almost believed it until I did some digging and research.
I didn't
And
believe
trust, if you do the research, you will see that the moon phase does not correctly add up. That's what got me. So.
Oh, that's how you proved it and debunked
yes.
it. I got you.
Because if it wasn't for the moon phase, I wouldn't have believed that it was real.
Right. But we follow the moon.
Yes. So here we go. June 28th, Capstone from NASA launched their... Capstone was the name of the satellite that was launched to the moon. This is all going on in 2022 with the moon, and nobody's talking about what's going on in the moon, what's NASA doing in space. And just this month, remember, July 5th, CERN who's dealing with dark matter and learning about the universe and how it was created, launched their Large Hadron Collider. So all this stuff going on with space and the moon is happening in 2022, and I'm trying to figure out what are we doing in the moon? Why is the moon suddenly a focus now? That's all I got. Like, that's how I feel. So to bring in a little more information about the moon on these specific days. Hello everyone, I am so sorry about that. Baby Crone is a bit long-winded today and the camera died. So we had to charge him. We're back up and Baby Crone is still running and juicing because I am ready to tell you. So we was talking to recap everything. I'm talking about the moon because, okay, let me stress why I want to talk about space and the moon so bad. So why I want to talk about the moon so much is because the moon, I love astrology, and honestly last year after I started learning astrology, because me and the old crone were learning, the old crone and I wanted to learn esoteric topics together, and I chose to choose astrology because astrology deals with the planets. I like space and I like science, so I was like, sure, why not astrology? And astrology has honestly changed my life, and I feel like if people know more about the stars and understand how you're a part of the universe and really everything in the universe is working together and really nothing is against you, and everything is to work and benefit you even if you don't like the outcomes or how it came about. Sometimes if you're stuck in something and you don't know how to get out of it, life will force you out of it and you have to deal with the consequences because you chose yourself to not get out of the situation.
And many people do that.
Yes, and
if you won't make a decision, I'm sorry, Baby Crone. If you won't make a decision, life will make it for you. 100% on that.
And learning astrology, kind of tying back into the oak tree, even though you can't know your fate, if you understand yourself a little bit better, you're able to connect and move through life and understand that you have something to add to this life. Whatever it is, it could be minute, it could be big. Everyone is here for a reason to add something to the whole, the collective, because we're all part of one big universal energy.
Preach it, Baby Crone.
Yes. And that's why I want to stress the moon so importantly, because nowadays with mental health not being taken as seriously, and ever since we had to go in due to the C-19, and really having to sit with yourself in your house, or if you're surrounded with people, sitting in a house with other people and learning how to get along with them, because maybe you weren't in the house with these people 24/7 and now you have to learn to adjust to these maybe what feels like new people to you because you're learning new sides of them you never knew before. And astrology helps you understand those relations of why certain people are in your life and why you might be drawn to certain people. And the moon affects our emotions and our mentality and how we feel inwardly, because everything we feel inwardly just manifests outwardly into the physical realm and the environment around us. So if you want to change how your physical environment is, you have to change your inner emotional and mentality that's within you, because only you can manifest and bring energy that's inside of you. So if you're feeling negative, you're going to perceive everything to be negative and take on more negative energy. And then just learning, it's just all about learning yourself and understanding that everything is for a reason and is for a good reason. So on June 28th, this is when NASA launched their capstone to the moon, and this was a micro moon. This means when the moon was the farthest away from the earth, and this was on a new moon, so we couldn't even see the moon at the time. So why did NASA want to go to the moon during the time when the moon wasn't visible to the earth? What are they doing in secret that they don't want us to know? Then on March 4th, which was when something landed on the moon, it was a waxing crescent, as I had said. So it was just finished being new and dark, which means we couldn't see it, and now there's a slight slither. So does that mean there's something being revealed to us? Is it like a wake-up call because something's crashing? Do we need to pay more attention to our emotional and inner self? And that's what really makes me bring here today and talk more about the moon and how all this is connecting. And still a week later, the same 3 topics I covered last week are still popping up as a theme. And I wanted to take note that the Large Hadron Collider that CERN launched on July 5th was 2 days after. So it launched on July 5th, and then 2 days later, on July 7th, the sequoia trees that I was talking about were being endangered. So now tree species, and this was all still during a full moon, a new moon, so it was all dark and new energy and time to really go within, because in the dark, what else can you do besides think and be with yourself? So now that these trees are being endangered, and trees represent ourselves, now you have to look at humanity and wonder what's going on around the society around us. Is there something that we should be talking about? Is there chaos going on? I mean, just think about it, what's going on with the politics and the government and then the social media. There's so much chaos going around that even the ecosystem is reflecting this, and there's such subtle hints that if you don't know what to look for, you're not going to realize the connections between what the planet is trying to warn you before it physically happens and manifests itself in humanity. And that's really all I really wanted to talk about. I love the moon. And really here is my final note that I wanted to talk about, and the real key takeaway, because this time I took my time to try to explain a lot more things, because last week I wasn't as thorough as I could have been, because I know it's not general information that what I know, but sometimes it feels too deep and too much to explain that I don't want to feel like I'm sitting here and giving a lecture, so I try to sum up the key important parts, but all at the same time, those key important parts, you need the background information in order to understand it. So I was trying to find a clear theme and a thesis throughout the message, so that way you can understand why everything is tying in together. And my key takeaway is that in 2022, of course my takeaway has numerology in it. The number 6 has to deal with energy and how energy is flowing within us, spiritual energy, and how it flows into the manifestation in the physical world. And as we approach the Lion's Gate, which is on August 8th, Lion's Gate is talking about really the passion, the energy, the fire, the spirit that's inside of you. What do you want to do with it? How do you want to use your spiritual powers and energies and gifts to physically get what you want? Like maybe, for example, you want to start a business, and you've been talking about wanting a business. What are you going to do to create
You
that
have to
business?
be proactive.
Yes.
If you want it to work, you have to be in it. Not looking at it and say, this is what I want to do. You got to be in it or ready to launch it.
Yes. And this
No
is...
fantasies.
Yes. You have to become not a dreamer, but a visionary.
All right now.
Yes. Make your dreams become real, because a dream is something you do while you're asleep.
Fantasy.
Yes. It's the subconscious. It's what your mind makes up while you're asleep. It's all information that you're consciously or subconsciously aware of, but anything can happen, because it's, as Theo Crone said, it's a fantasy. Anything can happen. You have the control. Now bring that control from the dream world to the physical world, and you'll be able to maneuver through life. And honestly, that's what astrology and the stars is here for, because just like the stars, they maneuver through space. They have their own course and path. We just reflect that. We have to find our own path, and we may bump into people along the way, but these people, their energy is drawn to you for a certain reason, and everyone is always bouncing off of each other. So that's why you always have to be mindful about who's in your circle and the energy around you, because you can be influenced. Well, thank you. That is all Baby Crone has to talk about, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys next week. You are watching the Crone's Treasure Chest. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. We love you guys, and ciao. Mwah.